truth seekers, and welcome to Dark Sayings Live Midnight Mystery Sessions, Whispers of the Cosmos. I am Pete, a humble master of mysteries and antiquary of the arcane, your guide through the uncharted realms of the extraterrestrial, paranormal, and historical. With a passion for probing ancient enigmas and modern anomalies, I'm here to lead us through the cosmic unknown. Tonight, as midnight strikes on August 17, 2025, we're unraveling 5 mysteries that whisper from the stars. Did the Phoenix Lights reveal alien visitors? What strange forces haunt Skinwalker Ranch? Could the Nazca lines be extraterrestrial signals? Was Rendlesham Forest a UFO encounter? And does the Mothman foretell disaster? Grounded in primary sources in 2025 debate, we'll dissect these enigmas with rigor and curiosity. Join the live chat, vote in the polls, and let's explore the cosmos together. Stay tuned and let's dive in. All right. I'm not going to waste your time with a bunch of nonsense tonight. I want to say hello to everybody. I want to thank our moderator, Tina Tomaszewski, live chat moderator she is, for being here tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces tuning in. I appreciate every one of you taking time out of your busy day to come hang out and talk with me about some weird stuff. So tonight we do have 5 interesting topics to discuss. We're going to get into the first one first here. It's a classic of UFO lore, and we're going to be really heavy on the UFOs tonight. I've been a little enamored with some of these topics as of late, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So, to begin, let me first say, if you're new here, please consider liking and sharing and subscribing to the channel. We do a live stream every Saturday night at midnight. Likewise, I do short videos. I am very happy to announce that as of today's date, I have recorded 5 videos, and I am ready to drop them this coming week. I'm also working on a 6th longer format video that I also want to upload by Wednesday. So I'm going to be working on that as well. I know it's been a long wait for me to get back on track with this stuff, but I finally got into a rhythm, and I'm very happy to announce we will be back at it fairly soon. So yes, look for the first video dropping on Monday. Likewise, let me say a quick spin around the chat. Who's hanging out here? DJ Lewis, Jesse Miller, Jonaside, Hides in the Long Grass. How you doing there, pal? WJ, what's up? Been a minute, WJ. Good to see you. Guru Augie is here, and Dana the Powerful. Last but not least, good old Deranged Lunatic hanging out tonight. Good to see you, Deranged. So if you notice, everybody got a little bit of a different setup here. I'm much happier with it. I think it works out a lot more streamlined for what I'm trying to do. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me as I've kind of been working out the kinks lately, trying to get everything to look as optimal as possible. But I'm really happy with the way things are going now. So yeah, I hope the presentation looks pretty good. And thanks for being here again. Last but not least, I forgot to mention all this kind of stuff. I haven't really talked about it in a while. There are channel memberships if you're so inclined. I also have merch on the Teespring store. I've got a Patreon, all those things. But I just feel like, I'm just getting the ball rolling again. So let me demonstrate some consistency. Let me earn your views again. And then we can get into all that unsavory business of supporting this and supporting that. Right now, I'm just happy you're here watching. And if you'd like to help me in any way you can, the best way would be to share this out, tell a friend, get the word out about this channel and these shows. And I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And thank you for your contributions to these conversations. So without any further ado, let's get into our first topic, the Phoenix Lights incident, a mass UFO sighting or military flares. In 1997, thousands in Arizona witnessed mysterious lights in the sky known as the Phoenix Lights. We're going to investigate whether this was an extraterrestrial event or a military operation, and we're going to trace its history and current 2025 debates. So let's transport ourselves back to the night of March 13th, 1997 in Phoenix, Arizona. Thousands reported seeing a V-shaped formation of lights gliding silently across the night sky, and this was printed in the Arizona Republic. They had reports in 1997 of witnesses, including then Governor Phoebe Symington, described a massive craft per his 2007 CNN interview. The event lasted hours and was captured on video, archived at MUFON in 1997, and the Air Force would later claim there were flares from A-10 Warthog jet. This was reported in the Luke Air Force Base statement released in 1997. Now here we are in 2025, and online discussions with widespread engagement link this event to the current narrative around UAP disclosure. And for those of you unfamiliar with that term, I'm still a purist and the UFOs to me, but you will hear me use them interchangeably when I'm speaking specifically regarding hearings and officials. If it's a witness, if it's a tale, if it's a lore from the annals of the history of the visitors, I will use UFO. But when it does relate to the disclosure narrative currently flopping around in Congress, I will use interchangeably UAP, even though I'm not a big fan of it. Anywho, no physical craft debris were ever found. A podcast recently this year had over 90,000 downloads, and it was all about this topic. And this sighting remains one of the largest UFO events in history. It sparks endless questions. So we dive into what people saw. These witnesses described 5 to 7 lights in a boomerang type shape, moving very slowly. And this is all accounted for in the MUFON interviews from 1997. Some reported a solid mile-wide craft blocking the stars. And this was in UFO magazine in 1998. The Symington, as we mentioned, the governor, was a former Air Force officer, but he insisted it wasn't flares. And in 2007, in a CNN interview, that was a statement he made. Video evidence shows steady lights, unlike typical flare descent. And a 2007 Journal of Scientific Exploration Analysis reported this to be so. In 2005, you can check any online forum that deals with this kind of stuff, and you will still find strong engagement arguing that what we were dealing with here was actually an alien craft. No radar data confirms any kind of solid object per 1997 FAA records. A 2025 documentary featured on YouTube with over 1.2 million views recreates the event. The sheer scale of witnesses, thousands, lends weight, but proof remains elusive. So, could there be a more mundane explanation? The Air Force's flare theory is backed by the 1997 Luke Air Force Base logs, suggesting an A-10 jet dropped flares during a training exercise. Now, skeptics like Robert Schieffer in a 2024 Skeptical Inquirer article argued atmospheric optics creating a V-shaped illusion. No anomalous radar signatures were ever recorded per the FAA records from 97. But skeptics online with significant traction point to the 1990s UFO craze inflating our perceptions. A 2025 Scientific American article cites optical illusions like mirages. Flare tests in 98 matched the flight's behavior per Air Force reports. Psychological factors like expectation bias likely played a role per the 2024 Journal of Social Psychology. Evidence leans heavily towards a military and not extraterrestrial explanation. However, the cultural impact, the Phoenix Lights have left a lasting mark. They've inspired the 2005 film Night Skies. A 2025 documentary on the event, like I said, had 1.5 million views per its YouTube analytics. Online hashtags like Phoenix Lights and have gained momentum in the current year. And this reflects an ongoing fascination with the topic. The sightings fuel UFO advocacy, with groups like MUFON citing it repeatedly. Online forums debate its role in shaping the UFO culture. And as I said, these podcasts are hitting this topic hard. There are hundreds of thousands of downloads. And one of the strongest indications is Symington's 2007 reversal of his denial made in 97. In 2007, he's singing a different song. He admitted that the craft, keeps the story alive. And the event scale makes it a cornerstone of UFO lore. It blends awe and skepticism in one big, great milieu of strangeness. And why now? Why now in 2025? The Phoenix Lights are still trending. Well, thousands of engagements online keep the story going. And there's the ties to the 2025 UAP hearings that have been happening in Congress. They allege a cover-up. Now, that great site of nonsense Reddit, you can find strong upvotes debating UFOs versus flares on there. And conspiracy influencers keep pushing extraterrestrial claims. And that's evident by a report in Paranormal Review. They did an online poll that shows 55% favor an alien explanation. However, skeptics with significant support still cite military records. Now, let me ask you guys, what do you all think? Was these UFOs or were they flares? You know, there's an article, I think you can still find it on history.com from this year, and it revisits the event, fueling the debate. And right now, it's just a broader indication of the current year obsession with UFOs, and it's going to keep the Phoenix Lights in the spotlight. So, as I like to do, let's drop a poll for this topic here. We're going to start a poll real quick, and now I don't have to lean off screen like a weirdo. I can actually take care of business right here because I can see what I'm doing. So let's see. Let's check it all out. The lights, what were they? I'm going to ask you guys, and I hope you can fill me in with what your opinion is. Are they UFO or are they flares? All right. I'm going to start the poll now. We're going to leave it up for a few minutes. In between, I'm going to dabble in the chat here between these topics and see what your guys' opinion on these different things are. We'll just rolling like that. How's that sound? Everybody good? I'm loving it. All right. Let's see where we're at. All righty. I'm just going to check back at the beginning here since we're not too deep in. I can say hello to everybody who was kind of trickling in late. All right, what we got going on? Woo! Jeff of the Dave. I'm sorry, I'm choking on my own face. Jeff of the David clan. Got that Irish theme background. Jeff, honestly, I called my wife in here before I started. And I was like, should I go with the red or the green? But I have many options in colors with these lights, so maybe next week we'll have a different color going on in the background. We'll see. I even thought about having to cycle the colors back there, but I thought that may be a bit distracting. Anywho, thank you for noticing. I'm a big fan of these lights back there. It kind of makes the room just look a little better, and I'm pretty happy with it. Jesse Miller, how you doing, man? Jesse says flares. Woo! Yeah. Alice down the rabbit hole. I remember people reporting they were blocking starlight. That doesn't seem like flares. You're absolutely right, Alice down the rabbit hole. That is an indication of the story. It was definitely an aspect of the story that it was blocking the starlight. However, those records in the FAA indicate that there were no physical objects to be reported. So, I'm a little on the fence about this one. It's always been a fascination of mine. Strangely enough, this story has a connection to Kurt Russell, the actor. He claims that he was the small aircraft pilot who first reported the lights to the tower. He was apparently giving his son, I think his son was a teenager at the time, he was flying him to his girlfriend's place so he could visit his girlfriend. And, how's that going? Dad, can you take me to your plane to visit my girlfriend? You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. But Kurt Russell, he claims that he saw the Phoenix lights while he was up in the air, and he reported them to the tower. He was a mysterious pilot who first saw them. So a little connection there. Guru Augie, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Well, that would be the Sukalos way to go. You know what I mean? Alice says, hello, cloaking device. I could see that. I've often wondered if cloaking devices and like this kind of ability to vanish may be more of a optical thing than a transportation thing. Are these alien creatures, teleporting somewhere, or are they just concealing themselves in some way? And I think there's a significant reason to think that both are real possibilities. Anywho, let's move on and see what we're doing here. Yeah. How long has this poll been rocking? I just want to get an idea how long this has been up. About 2 minutes here. About 2 minutes with the poll. So I'm going to give that another minute, and then we'll everybody take a chance and let your voice be heard. Let's see what we're working with. What's up with the poll here? What do you guys think? I'd love to know. I'd like to get everybody's opinion. We get a little consensus on what we think the Phoenix lights were. I remember this occurring in 97. I was still I was a teenager myself. It was probably my last year of high school. So I was probably about 17 when this occurred. And it was in March. So I was definitely 17 when this happened. A long time ago now. Very interesting. It made a lot of news. I do recall, at first there was a lot of talk whether or not it was actually an extraterrestrial sighting. And then these officials, and the governor included, they came out and they did this whole dog and pony show where somebody came out in an alien costume, and they really just ridiculed the whole thing. And then that was kind of par for the course at the time. How often news reports that pertain to these kind of subjects back then would feature the X-Files theme right before the report started. It was a pretty common occurrence back then. All right, we're going to wrap up the poll now. Let's see here. So the general consensus regarding the Phoenix lights. It's been up there for about 3 minutes. We got plenty of votes here, so let's see what we're working with. All right. It indicates here that 69% of you believe the Phoenix lights were a UFO, and the remaining 30% believe the is that right? I can't see for nothing. Yeah, the remaining 30% of you believe it was flares. And you know what? I can see why there will always be debate on this one. It was such a well-witnessed sighting with massive amounts of people viewing what was going on there. And I think that, that there's very few events I can think that are parallel to that as far as mass sightings go. I know a lot of people who are more secular and, like uh, when it comes to stuff like Marian apparitions, will take something like the Fatima miracle of the sun and relate that to a mass UFO sighting. And I guess if we're going to be strictly technical, that might be the case. However, I still believe it was a religious experience overall rather than some kind of extraterrestrial appearance. But that's just my prerogative on that thing. Anywho, let's see here. We got wrapped up the poll. We're gonna move right along. Okay, topic number 2, everybody. This is probably the one you've been waiting for. We're gonna hit the Skinwalker one right now. So the Skinwalker Ranch Mysteries. The question is this a paranormal hotspot or a scientific anomaly? Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is notorious for alleged paranormal and extraterrestrial phenomenon. We're going to explore whether this is a supernatural hub or an explainable anomaly, and we'll look back at its eerie history and the current debates around it. So, the Skinwalker Ranch is a 512-acre property in Utah, in the Utah Basin. In 1994, the Sherman family reported UFOs, cattle mutilations, paranormal activity, specifically poltergeists, and this was all in the Desert News interviews made in 1996. By 1996, billionaire Robert Bigelow and his NIDS team investigated, and they documented many anomalies. In their 2025 report, this all came to light. The Ute, a local tribe, have folklore, as reported by the Native American Studies Journal, that ties the land to skinwalkers. These are malevolent shapeshifters. And online discussion has really exploded around skinwalkers lately. Lots of engagement. The television shows have really amplified the mystique around the ranch. And there's no physical evidence like UFO debris, never been verified. The History Channel series has like 2 million views, like when it plays. And it very much popularized the ranch and the phenomenon that spanned decades, which still defies explanation. Now, the site remains a magnet for paranormal intrigue. But what exactly happens there? Well, firstly, the Shermans reported glowing orbs and mutilated cattle as far back as 1994, as we mentioned in the Desert News. NIDS documented magnetic spikes and unexplained lights in their 2005 NIDS report. Now, witnesses have claimed shape-shifting creatures, which echo the Ute legends in Ethnology, a journal published in 2025. Online forums still with much engagement suggest aliens or interdimensional activity, although no biological or technological evidence has been peer-reviewed, according to Scientific America. There was a drone survey done in 2025 that did detect radiation anomalies, and that was reported back as far as 2000 in the NIDS archives. Now, the range of claims regarding Skinwalker Ranch, from the UFOs to the cryptids to the paranormal, makes this place a enigma rich in the strange. Now, is there a rational explanation? Because skeptics, specifically like Benjamin Radford in 2024's Skeptical Inquirer, attributed the sightings to natural phenomenon like ball lightning. And you know what? I don't know why there's not tons of videos of ball lightning the way these UFOs keep popping up, or methane emissions. And we've all heard that one before if you know anything about UFOs. Methane emissions is the old swamp gas story. Geological studies in 2025, per the Geophysical Research Letters, suggest that magnetic anomalies are occurring from local faults, like geological faults. The skeptics online, with significant traction, argue that the ranch's isolation fuels the imagination. There is no consistent data that supports extraterrestrial claims, per a SETI Institute report in 2024. The psychological studies in 2025 by the Journal of Social Psychology link sightings to expectation bias. The History Channel's dramatization, according to the Media Studies Journal, amplifies this hype. But the Ute folklore reflects a cultural storytelling, not necessarily evidence. Pardon me. Of course, science leans towards natural explanations and not supernatural causes. But there is, it's part of the culture now. It's part of the zeitgeist, because Skinwalker Ranch has become a cultural phenomenon. The History Channel series, which I believe ran, I'm not sure if it's still on, honestly. It started in 2020, however. The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. And it's got millions of views, a great share of the Nielsen ratings. there's hashtags like hashtag Skinwalker Ranch, and that they've been all over the the internet as well. Now, it also inspired a hunt for Skinwalker in 2018, a film, and the debate online, continues about its role in paranormal research. There was an article also published regarding this in the Paranormal Review in 2025, and Bigelow and his NIDS work influenced a lot of these UAP studies, even evident by the reports, the official government reports by AARO. The ranch's lore blends this kind of Native American tradition with modern UFO culture, and this mystique thrives on its unsolved nature, captivating believers and skeptics alike. So why is Skinwalker Ranch trending now? Because online discussions have thousands of engagements, linking it again to the current narrative around disclosure. They allege government interests and whether or not this is aliens versus natural theories, and the influencers in this sphere keep pushing interdimensional claims. Unexplainedmysteries.com also had an online poll that showed 50% were in favor of paranormal explanation. Now, the skeptics cite geological data again. So my question to all of you right now, as we've done in between here, is whether you think the Skinwalker Ranch is a hotspot or a hoax, right? National Geographic did an article exploring this ranch. And again, that just gets into a broader audience and continues to fuel the debate. It's been a revival. This thing's been around forever. And every once so often, it pops back up and it becomes even more entrenched in our imaginations regarding what was actually going on here. So, keep in mind all the fascinating creatures associated with the Skinwalker Ranch as well. The bulletproof wolf, the blue meanies, the black helicopters, strange voices, very, very interesting milieu, a plethora of weirdos. So, Skinwalker Ranch. I've never personally seen the show. I got rid of cable TV many years ago, and I just, I've honest to God, and I've said this to people before, I tend to avoid a lot of this kind of media because I don't really want to be influenced by it. I like to rely on a lot of like written word research, books, articles, as well as I do like podcasts. I generally listen only to two of them over and over again. But podcasts are a great resource for this kind of stuff. That's how I found Timothy Alberino and his work regarding the Nephilim, which is unparalleled. Great stuff. So let's do a poll. Let's rock it out. Okay. Skinwalker Ranch here. Skinwalker Ranch. Is it a hotspot or a hoax? All right, poll going up. Let's see what you guys think. All right, now we're rocking. All right, I'll give that 3 minutes. Everybody give a chance to vote there. If you're handy, you're gonna get in there and vote away. All right, let's see what's going up in the old chat here. Hey, Bogus Hype, what's up going on there? Been a minute. Mitz Meltil, Edward Sosa. How's everybody doing? What's going on? Good to see you all. I am not ignoring the chat completely. Deazad, it's green. Yeah, it's green. It's green. I got some new lights. Got some new lights to try to make it look a little better, I got another ring light over here. I'm lit up better. The background's lit up better. All I need to do is lose about 60 pounds and, maybe shave next time. But yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. The prepared artist. Hello, Pete. Hello, Tina. Hello, the prepared artist. Hello. Jesse Miller says, Pete, you should check it out. They did weird experiments that kind of showed there was something in the sky. It's odd. Yeah, you know what? I'm sure there's something interesting to it. I know that other channels have been covering it. It was popular for a while there. I was even on a podcast one time with the one of the cast members. What was his name? Tim, do you remember that gentleman's name? It escapes me at the moment. He was a cast member on the Skinwalker Ranch show. But for the life of me, I cannot remember what his name was. Yeah, it's very confusing. Very confusing when you try to recall some of this stuff. You meet so many people in this area of research, and it kind of like gets a little confusing after a while. I mean, absolutely, you're gonna get lost in the sauce a little bit, right? All right, let's see how long the poll's been rocking. We're firing along. We're firing along on all cylinders, everybody. I'm trying to blast through every one of these topics by the hour mark. I'm trying to keep it tight and orderly. Anyway, like I said, if you are just tuning in and you're new here, this is Dark Sayings. I'm your host, Pete. This channel was formerly called The Creepy Little Book for about 10 years. But what happened is YouTube kept lumping me in with like Halloween content for children. And it was really a drag, and I could not break the algorithm stranglehold on my placement. So out of absolute desperation and being assured by my contact in YouTube that there was no shadow banning going on, I was just throttled. I throttled and miscategorized. You didn't need a shadow ban, nothing. You just put me in the wrong spot, and then nobody sees me anymore, and that's what. So in a desperate attempt to break the shadow ban, which they said didn't exist, I rebranded. So we've been about a year into Dark Sayings. Had a lot going on in the last year. I hadn't been so consistent, but we're back at it again. If you are enjoying the show, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit that like button. And, if you want to share it out, that's probably the best thing you can do. I'm not really big on asking people for financial compensation to do this. I appreciate all the donations. Like I said, they're always appreciated, but I never expect them. I'll absolutely admit that 10 years ago when I first started, my only intention was to generate revenue. I was really just looking to make some extra money, and I know a lot about this stuff. Not to say that I wasn't passionate about the topics, but I was never, coy about the fact that I was doing this to turn a profit. Over the years, my focus has changed. The drive to be a successful creator in this sphere, it's kind of ebbed and flowed over time, depending on the changes in life and such. But essentially what I missed was creating. I missed interacting. I missed being in the mix. So we're really trying to get back and more consistent, reestablish things. And you know what? I don't even think of it as rebuilding at this point. It's, it's kind of starting a whole new thing. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be putting up some playlist of archive videos, but I want to film some new intros and outros for them and kind of couch the information. And most of them are evergreen, however. But I digress. I'm just eating up time till the poll was done. Here we go. The poll's done. Let's see what's what. All right. With the end of the poll, it looks like we are at 60% say UFO hotspot, while 40% say hoax. So it looks like the hotspot wins out over that one. I mean, it's been so entrenched for a while now in the overall annals of UFO stories. It would be crazy to think about how it wouldn't affect things overall. I mean, it's such a profound and well documented sighting. There's even a song by a band called Striker, I believe. I think it's a rock. It's like a metal band, not like a. I don't know. It's more like a. I want to say power metal. I don't want to say necessarily power metal because they're not like Sabaton, but they're a lot more like. They remind me more of like a Judas Priest kind of like old metal sound as opposed to like a thrash, death kind of metal, black metal kind of thing. But yeah, I think the band's called Striker, and the song is called Phoenix Lights. Very catchy tune. So if you get a chance to check it out, even if you like the metal, you'll probably enjoy it. All right. So yeah, that was we banged out 1 and 2. Let's get into topic number 3. We're almost at the halfway point here. Can we make it to the end? Can we get it all done? Topic number 3 for the night is the Nazca lines and alien theories. Are these ancient art or extraterrestrial signals? Now, the massive geoglyphs in Peru are known as the Nazca lines, and they've sparked many a theory of alien involvement. We're going to examine whether these are ancient art or some kind of cosmic message, and we'll trace their origins in the current debate. So if we travel through the Nazca Desert in Peru, these lines were created somewhere between 500 BC and 500 AD. The Nazca lines are huge geoglyphs of animals and shapes. They span like 450 kilometers per UNESCO records, discovered in the 1920s by a pilot named Toribio Mejia. This was reported in the Archaeological Journal in 1926, and they baffled researchers. The Nazca people etched them by removing surface stones, and this was found by National Geographic. In 1968, Eric von Daniken, who wrote Chariot of the Gods, proposed alien involvement, and now in the present, online discussions with widespread engagement revive this story again. Even though no extraterrestrial artifacts have ever been found, according to Archaeological Review, and a 2025 drone survey had mapped 168 new lines per the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. These geoglyphs remain a marvel, sparking cosmic questions. So could these lines be alien signals? Von Daniken argued in 1968 that the lines were runways for alien spacecraft. And this is part of Chariots of the Gods, straight out. Some claim that they align with constellations, like a 1980 astronomical journal study. In the current day, online forums tie it to UFO theories, but there's no evidence that these runways ever existed, per the Geophysical Research letters in 2025. Now, Maria Ritchie's 1970 work suggests they were astronomical calendars, and this was reported in the Archaeological Review. A recent documentary keeps pushing the alien origins, but the scale of these lines means they're only visible from the sky, and this fuels further speculation. There is no clear indication what their cultural purpose was, and it continues to remain a source of debate, blending the science and the myth. So are these earthly lines? Archaeologists like Johann Reinhard in a 2024 Journal of Latin American Studies argued that they were ritual paths for Nazca ceremonies. A geological study by Archaeology Today shows that simple stone removal created them. But skeptics dismiss all alien theories, citing that there's no artifacts or evidence. The line's visibility from hills, not just plains, counters the claims that these were runways. And psychological studies, because of they did one in cognitive science in 2025, link these alien ideas and the beliefs in these UFOs to pattern seeking. So no astronomical alignments are precise, according to the Astronomy Journal. And the 1960s UFO craze helped shape von Daniken's ideas and, made him into the household name he is today. I guess what Ancient Aliens had a lot to do with that. But evidence points to cultural and not cosmic origins at the end of the day. These are a cultural treasure to the people of Peru. They are a UNESCO World Heritage Site and have been so since 1994. Yearly, over 100,000 tourists come to see them. They have inspired different films like Indiana Jones. And even now, you can see hashtag Nazca lines on various forums and sites and Twitter and here and there. We still debate whether this is an ancient astronaut theory thing or, they were strictly cultural, religious, ritual kind of ideas. But they are part of Peru's cultural identity, which is evident by a report done in Latin American History Journal. But their mystery continues to fuel a global fascination, blending art with speculation. So why are these Nazca lines so hot right now? It's really because of the internet is really pushing them forward. And again, tracing right back to the disclosure movement. Some allege that these are alien blueprints, and I kind of lean towards that ritual theory personally. Other influencers might keep going with the ET thing. And even though, a significant amount of people who are polled favor an alien explanation, I'm still a bit skeptical because, there's just not enough supporting evidence to back up those claims. So again, we'll get down into it. We'll ask another poll here because I do enjoy doing these polls. I want to see what everybody's opinion on this one is. Nazca lines, what are we looking at here? Are we talking about an idea that is more cultural or cosmic, So let's see. I'm going to drop a poll in the chat. Nazca, you tell me what you think. Cosmic or culture? All right, let the voting begin. You got about 3 minutes. Let me know what you think. Again, I'm really glad you guys will be here tonight. I do appreciate people tuning in and stuff. It's nice to be back in the saddle. You know what I mean? It's nice to be back in the saddle. I hope everybody's enjoying the show. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it a little tighter, more concise. I don't want to meander around so much. I know sometimes I can be tree talking because I branch off, but today I wanted to keep it real straightforward, so I didn't run out of gas before the end of the stream. Anywho, let's check that poll again, see where we're kind of sitting at. All right, we got some votes coming in. I do appreciate that, everybody. All right. So yeah, let's see. I'm gonna dip back into the chat. Oh, Fedorable the Horrible's here, and Jason Ingram. I'm late, but I'm here now. How you doing, Jason Ingram? Been a minute. Good to see you. And again, Fedorable the Horrible, old time Fedorable. Known that guy for a way long time. Man, me, Fedorable, Jesse and Tina, we go way back, We go way back. Doing this internet nonsense for a little bit. Just a little bit. And yeah, with Jason, here we go with an opinion. These are ritual related, according to Jason. Oh, you know what? I can probably see these better over here. Okay, here we go. I can see these better over here. What am I doing? I'm leaning over here in the wrong direction and everything. I look like a knucklehead. These are ritual related. The ancient aliens theory is akin to claiming Atlantis is an alien site. It makes no sense. I am enjoying it. I get you there, saying Atlantis was an alien site. I do believe Atlantis was a great civilization, probably like a crossroads of the world type place. I assume it was a very important port in its day, but I also believe that even though they may have had a higher level of technology than we suspect they did, I don't necessarily think that they were like flying spaceships and teleporting around and stuff. I do think there was a time when that was occurring, but my belief is that it was predominantly during the antediluvian world, and had very little to do with the time after the flood. But I'm always fascinated by the antediluvian stuff, and for those of you who still play we used to play an old game here when I would do live streams about 5 years ago. Whenever that word antediluvian is mentioned, we encourage you to imbibe your soda pop. So yeah, whatever soda pop you're enjoying right now, when the word antediluvian is uttered, you're supposed to take a sip. Okay. All right. I keep leaning. I'm looking at I don't know why I'm so naturally inclined to lean to the right and try to squint at these things when they are much bigger and easier to read on my left. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, folks. Hey, RR, what's up? What's up, RR? How do you do? Thoth was just visiting from another transmission. Thoth's an interesting piece of the puzzle when it comes down to that kind of stuff. Again, in the past I made a lot of videos about Thoth. I was very fascinated by the idea of a I don't want to use the word divine because I don't believe those were actually gods, but of a spiritual scribe of a being that imparted writing and spell casting onto the human race. And this might trace back to Mount Hermon, rather. It might trace back to Mount Hermon and the events that occurred there in the ancient past, but that's a story for another day. All right. Let's check the poll. It's been up for 3 minutes. We're going to just rally around it and see what the outcome was. All right. Looks like Cosmic 73% and Culture 27. So look at that. I'm kind of surprised. I thought it was going to go the other way. I'm of the opinion that these were probably ritual sites, myself, but I am kind of surprised how many people believe there are cosmic origins to them. And no, don't get me wrong. Peru is a fascinating place with its, strange mummies, supposedly of extraterrestrial origin. Various reports have come out of Peru over the years of different extraterrestrial encounters. So it's not like it's unknown for weird things to happen in the region. But with that said, I think I'm still on the fence. I used to believe that there was a definitive alien connection, but what if these folks had figured out hot air balloons in the past or some other method to get up in the air and do what they were doing? Even if somebody was standing on a tall structure and looking down, he could probably direct the artisans in its construction. So I don't know. There's probably a couple different ways it could have been done, but that's another mystery for the ages. All right. Thanks for voting in the poll, everybody. We're going to keep moving right along. We have 20 minutes left in the show. And let's see where we're at on the topics list. We got 2 left. We're going to roll up into 2 more topics. Here's another classic from the UFO mysteries. The Rendlesham Forest UFO encounter, Britain's Roswell, or a military misstep. In 1980, U.S. military personnel in England reported a UFO landing in Rendlesham Forest. Now, we're going to explore whether this was an extraterrestrial encounter or a terrestrial mix-up. And again, look back at its history and check what's going on in the current day. If we were to step into Rendlesham Forest back in 1980 over in merry old England, we would see U.S. airmen and at RAF Woodbridge. And that would include Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt. He reported lights and a metallic object per a 1981 memo to the UK Ministry of Defense. Over the course of 2 nights, December 26th to 28th, witnesses described a glowing craft landing. And this was reported in MUFON archives. Radiation readings were noted per a tape made of Halt in 1981, which is kept archived at Suffolk Archives. The ministry dismissed this as lights in the 1981 OD files, but in 2025, discussions online have brought it back to the forefront. It is Britain's Roswell to many. But again, unlike Roswell, we have no physical evidence. However, this event would become and remains to this day a cornerstone of UFO history. So what did these airmen see? The memo by Halt in 1981 described a triangular craft with hieroglyphic-like markings, and this is also backed up by MUFON records. Sergeant Jim Peniston claimed touching the craft, sketching the symbols per his 94 BBC interview. And witnesses reported beams of light in the 1981 Suffolk police logs. Today, online forums tie it again to UFOP disclosure. There are documentaries with hundreds of thousands of views that have recreated the event. Radiation readings, even though they were low, continue to fuel alien theories. And a 2024 Journal of Scientific Exploration backs this up. No craft was recovered, according to MOD files, and the detailed accounts from trained professional make dismissal challenging. So, could this be earthly? Skeptics like Ian Ridpath in 2024's Skeptical Inquirer article argued that the lights were from Orford Ness's lighthouse 5 miles away. The landing marks made by the craft matched rabbit burrows, according to Forestry Commission reports. Look, you're going to tell me 5 miles away there was a lighthouse and the holes in the ground from rabbits? That's crazy. Radiation levels were normal, according to the Health Physics Journal in 2024. But skeptics, again, who are gaining traction with this one, cite misidentification by a stressed airman. There's also a Cold War context to this, with secret U.S. tests going on. And this adds doubt per history's report on this in 2025. The report made by the MOD in 1983 blamed atmospheric phenomenon, and psychological studies suggest group expectation bias. And evidence, while it may point to the mundane and not extraterrestrial, that doesn't change a thing, because the Rendlesham legacy is profound. It inspired a 2020 film called The Rendlesham UFO Incident, and online hashtags continue to push it forward. The documentaries, there's no shortage of them at all, and online forum debates keep it in the forefront in relation to UFO advocacy. In the Paranormal Review in 2025, this was clearly evident, but Halt's 2010 book, The Halt Perspective, sold over 50,000 copies, and a podcast related to the book got over 80,000 downloads. Pardon me, a little frog in my throat, So this event would go on to shape the UK's UFO lore forever. The credibility, however, from military witnesses is one of the main factors that keep it alive. And it continues to trend in modern day. This story is not going anywhere anytime soon. Many allege a cover-up. Many believe that this lighthouse stuff is just nonsense. The extraterrestrial claims are strong. Unexplainedmysteries.com talks about it, and their poll showed 50%, at least half of respondents, favored that alien explanation. The skeptics, however, point to the MOD records, if you want to believe military records, that this was not necessarily anything to do with UFOs. Okay. I thought I heard something. But yeah, Rendlesham Forest, still a mystery, still out there, still keeping it alive. I'll tell you personally, and Rendlesham has never really caught my imagination that greatly. I mean, the idea of seeing the craft in the woods and coming up upon it and, the lights on, I mean, that's kind of interesting and all well and good, but I don't know. It's like when you compare it to like Travis Walton and what he experienced, it's so anticlimactic in a way, not really much going on in that regard with like drama and flair. There's not a lot of that happening with this story. Now again, like I said, it is a cornerstone of the UK UFO mythology. And again, I often think of these things as modern mythology. I guess I kind of use that phrase to keep away from the idea that I believe a lot of this stuff. And I'll tell you, I've said it before and I'll say it again. When I first started doing this, I believed in a lot more of it than I currently do now. I was a lot more accepting of a lot of the strange stuff. There was more than I wanted to believe a lot of topics rather than I actually did. And I think, we can sometimes we pick and choose. I've grown over the last 10 years. Well, I think a little more self-aware of, why I believe some of the things I do and what the influences that were that came along to shape those ideas. And sometimes you reassess and you change your mind. Sometimes that's the way it goes. But I mean, like, while I'm a huge proponent of the idea that there is much more to the world than we know in regard to the spiritual and the supernatural. That doesn't necessarily mean that I ascribe to every theory. Some of the stuff is just way too far out. I really, sadly, it's so unavoidable now because everything's become so political. It's like, it's crazy that, like, I'll just put it to you like this. 8 years ago, there was a tragic event in Nevada at a country music show. Worst one in our U.S. history. And it just vanished. Memory hold. No answers. And here in the current era, 8 years later, some actress puts on a pair of jeans in a commercial and people lose their minds. Like, I think our priorities have really gotten out of control. And, maybe it's time we take a step back. Maybe it's time we take a step back and, just get a lay of the land. Maybe start worrying about some big issues. Anywho, with that said, I always think this. Being an old punk rocker, I've got some pretty, I don't want to say, I'd say unconventional political beliefs, that have been shaped over the course of 20 years now. I've seen power shift back and forth from one group to another over the course of many years, and it just seems that no matter what, calamity follows regardless. And I'm largely ready to check out of it all. I don't really have an interest in it anymore. It used to be just nerds that cared about that crap. I used to have a friend many years ago. They've long passed now, but they used to say that politics was Hollywood for ugly people. And I think maybe that's something we should push. Maybe we should keep repeating that until all the ugly people shut up about politics. Anywho, let's keep moving on. And I'd say that's why I don't like to get into some of that political stuff. I find it really unsavory, and it's also it's polarizing and it dates your content. Like, if I sit here talking about the news of the day rather than these timeless stories that keep coming back up in the mythology of this genre, I don't think it would be worth the rewatch. Anywho, that's my little 2 bits. I'll try to eat up a little time. Got a little frog in my throat. I apologize. I don't know if I'm catching a cold or if it's allergies or what's happening. I think I might just have a dry throat. Give me a second. All right, thank you. Just clearing my throat yet again. I don't know what's going on here. All right, let's roll into the last topic for the night. Then we'll do a little Q&A before we wrap it up. Last one for the evening is a classic from the annals of cryptozoology, and even a little touch of the extraterrestrial in there as well. We'll see as we get into the story. The Mothman Prophecies, the book by John Keel, the movie starring Richard Gere, but the Mothman Prophecies nonetheless. Was the Mothman a harbinger of doom or just an urban legend? Now, it was a winged creature sighted in the 1960s in West Virginia, tied to disaster predictions. Now, whether is this a prophetic entity or is it a myth? Let's look back. So in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, November 66, a number, I think it was 2 couples, reported a 7-foot winged creature with red eyes. This was made evident in a report by the Point Pleasant Register in 1966. 100 sightings followed until December of 1967, when the Silver Bridge collapsed, killing 46. Witnesses linked the Mothman to the disaster, and in John Keel's 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, this is absolutely backed up. Now, the police in 67 said there was no evidence, but, to this day, Mothman is huge business. The Mothman Festival that occurs in Point Pleasant every year, and the merchandise, made to represent the Mothman. I mean, this is a public domain kind of thing, so anybody can make these Mothman t-shirts or, toys or whatever you want to do. And of course there's a market for it. Absolutely there is. I mean, hey, I'm one of those people, but these sightings are a chilling chapter in American history. Now, what was this Mothman? It was described as a humanoid with wings and glowing eyes. The Point Pleasant Register interviews also back up these claims, and John Keel's book suggested they were supernatural harbingers citing pre-bridge sightings. There were a few that reported telepathic messages. This was reported in 1976 in Fate magazine. And today, theories tie it to interdimensional entities. There have been various documentaries made. There have been explorations of the prophetic links, but there has been no like biological trace. There were no feathers found or anything like that. There was a Wildlife Services report made in 67, but they couldn't link it to any known animal. I mean, there are theories, but there's no evidence. Now, the bridge collapse was unrelated structurally to any of this, reports, but it still fuels these speculations. And the mystique around the Mothman lies mostly in its ominous timing. So was this just a bird that was misidentified? Joe Nickel was a skeptic, and in Skeptical Inquirer, he argued the Mothman was a sandhill crane or a barn owl with maybe a red eye shine. They also argued that the bridge collapse was due to corrosion, as the National Transit Safety Board report said in 1968. But skeptics think maybe mass hysteria post sightings because there was no anomalous evidence ever verified. And it could be a psychological link to it where like this was fear-based bias, with the current UFO craze that was going on in the 1960s. This could amplify people's perceptions. And a cultural studies journal in 2024 backed up these claims. In 2025, history.com presented an article that dismissed all supernatural claims and suggested a misidentification, not a prophetic entity. But that doesn't mean you can get the oil out of the water, because the Mothman endures. There was a 2002 film, as I mentioned, with Richard Gere called The Mothman Prophecies. It grossed $55 million. Not necessarily success. You didn't get any sequels, but newsflash, the movie sucks because you never see the Mothman. And when they advertised these trailers at the time, I distinctly remember these because I'd known about it. It wasn't new to me. They presented this as like a horror film when it was really like a psychological thriller. So there was a little bait and switch with the advertising. And I think that really hurt the overall box office. But I'm not a movie man. I'm not one of these nerds who talks about video games and then all of a sudden wanting to get into the world of the strange. I'm a real strange person who doesn't care about nerd shit. Also, I got to tell you, no nerd shit in the Discord, please. I don't know what's going on in my Discord. I have not been active there as I should be. But every time I come back there, there's some crazy nerd shit or some other nonsense that is unrelated to what we do. So, let's try to tighten it up there if we can. I do appreciate you using the Discord. If you want a Discord link, just DM me on Twitter or X rather, or anywhere else. I would provide it here, but I'm just gonna ask you if you want it. Message me and I'll give it to you then. Okay. So let's move right along here. Regarding the Mothman. Okay. So as I said, the Mothman endures, and that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed at all. There is in Point Pleasant a large metallic statue of the Mothman. It was erected in 2003, symbolizing its continuing legacy. So West Virginia tourism, it's I'm sure that a hefty amount of it does come from the Mothman Festival, where tens of thousands of people descend on this small little town to celebrate this strange occurrence. And honorable mention, we talked about this last week. The Flatwoods Monster, also West Virginia. So keep that in mind. All right. So why is the Mothman back? Why now? Well, did he ever really go away? Even as recently as a few years ago, there was that Fallout 76 that took place in West Virginia, the video game, and that featured the Mothman. And again, Mothman, I guess, will always be part of paranormal trends and associated with prophetic warnings. There's all kinds of creatures versus crane theories out there. Was it a bird? Was it a cryptid? And the influencers in this sphere are always going to be sensational. That's why I'll tell you what, that's why I don't lean into the sensation. That's why I'm always providing counterpoints to these things, and you're getting skepticism from me too. I'm not going to sit here and sell you a bill of goods. I'm going to give you both sides of the coin, because I've always said this. I feel these topics can stand on their own when given due deference and presented without sensationalism. I believe that we are all mature adults who, for the most part, if you're not willfully stupid or willfully evil, can conceptualize broader concepts and can even hold conflicting ideas at the same time without losing your mind. And for those of you who are like that, and I believe that's many of you who turn out for this stuff, it's It's an admirable thing. Thank you. Holy smokes. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that. I'm sorry to know what that denomination is. I thought that was $20,000 at first. I almost had a stroke. Jesus Christmas. What are you doing to me? Oh my God. My heart just exploded. Oh my God. The 185. I'm sorry to know what that denomination is. Oh my goodness. 20,000 something. I don't know what inside. Thank you, the 185. I don't know what that translates to in US dollars. Maybe this will tell me. I don't know. Hold on. Let me check my thing. Oh, wait, this might say it. Let's see. Let me just pop this up. Oh, that's like $15. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. The 185. Not only did you hook me up with a super chat, but you hooked me up with a mystery. What is the denomination of that money? Thank you so much, the 185. And the 185 says, ticket incredibly dope content. Power to the creeps. Thank you, the one. That's very cool of you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm so glad to be back doing this. I swore to God I wasn't going to do live streams anymore. And I remember I would get into it with Tina here and there. Me and Tina, we talk pretty frequently, and I give her a hard time about nonsense. But I was telling her, I'm never going to stream again. I'm never doing any streams anymore. Nobody likes these streams. But you know what? As much as I tried to stay away, I miss hanging out with you guys. I've gotten to know a lot of you over the years. It's not like we just started doing this, and I always try to make sure that we do focus on the chat as well. So so I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Very generous of you. I do appreciate it. Thank you very kindly. So thank you, the 185. All right. So again, skeptics will argue wildlife stuff, but at the end of the day, I think there's a little something more to the Mothman than just misidentification. Perhaps this was some kind of warning from another realm, and I'd like to leave the door of possibility open in that regard. The debate goes on. Harbinger or hoax? Is it a legend or is it a lie? But I am a believer that there was something strange going on there. And as long as people are fascinated with cryptids, the Mothman will always stay aloft. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it goes to. Let's do a little Q&A. We got about 2 minutes left. So I'll do maybe three or five questions. We can bang them out real quick. Let's see here. Pete tells me all the time just how much he appreciates you guys. Well, thank you, Tina. That's absolutely true. The prepared artist says, what if Mothman's a thought form generated by hysteria? I'm on like a tulpa almost prepared artist, like a tulpa almost. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Could enough people generate a tulpa that could interact in a mass sighting kind of way? Is that the case? And if that is the case, it makes me consider some of those like early 1900 Jersey Devil sightings that occurred in my own area and as far away as parts of Philadelphia and Bristol, PA. So, I think that went up until the 1920s. They had roving posses out there looking for the Jersey Devil, So, a bogus hype. Yeah, the Jersey Devil. Deazod Pete rules. Listen, hey, so look, we're down to about the last minute of this show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate your time, your energy, and your contributions to these conversations. It has been a blast. I look forward all week to this. I messaged a lot of my friends today to remind them what I was doing, to give them a chance to revisit this kind of thing and check it all out for those of them who haven't seen it in a while. Just again, get the word out again. I'm back in the saddle, and I'm really driven to push this to the limit. So keep tuning in. As I said, I got 5 videos coming this week. 5 videos in the can. They are ready to go. So none tomorrow, but we're going to start kicking them out Monday. And look for it. Look for it, man. Look for it. We're doing it. So again, thank you to everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you all. As I said in the beginning, I will just mention these because it's obligatory at this point. Please like, share, and subscribe. More than anything, please subscribe. Because of the slow attrition and the inability to gain new followers, I have not seen a single new subscriber in 365 days. In fact, I am in the negative, and for the first time have fallen below 32,000 subscribers. I am now below that. I watched it steadily slide for the course of a year. And, what would happen is I'd add one new subscriber and then lose two. Or I'd add two new subscribers and lose five. So I don't know what the case is. I don't know if it's like YouTube cleaning out all accounts every day, which I don't imagine they do every day. I don't imagine they do it all, honestly. But yeah, it's a little disheartening. But I'm not going to let it break my stride. That's why we're now streaming on several other platforms at the same time. So right now you may be watching me on Twitter. You may be watching me on Instagram. Either way, I appreciate everybody watching. I can't see any of the Instagram or the Twitter chat, so I don't know what any of you are saying there. But please don't hesitate to follow me, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Memberships if you can, merch if you want. It's just I gotta say this stuff. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. We will be back next Saturday. New videos up Monday. Any last minute things? Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Well, I do like to take the opportunity right at the end of the show to highlight those who have been so generous enough to throw me a super chat. So first and foremost, and the only one tonight, we got the 185 for 20,000 something. There's 20,000 W's, which I think turns into $15 US. Very kind of you, the 185. So special thanks to you tonight. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. I hope you like the new setup. I hope it looks good. We are going to be doing a lot more stuff in the future. So maybe you'll get sick of me. Maybe you'll unsubscribe then because you're tired of my nonsense coming up in your feed. All right. I'll see you all next Saturday. Keep your eyes on your notifications. If you're not, you should click the notification bell. You know what? I think that's been an issue for me because the channel predates that whole thing. Back when I first started doing this, if you wanted to get updates from a channel, all you had to do was click subscribe. Why in the world would you add a second step? If I'm subscribing to a channel, I want all of its content. I don't want to just pick and choose when I'm getting stuff from them. It is a flawed system. I don't understand. It's ridiculous. But I digress. Okay. Thanks again. I'm just stalling because I don't want to go. But we've hit the hour mark, and I'm not out of gas yet. So always lead them one more. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. This has been Dark Sayings. I'm your host, Pete. And until next time, I don't know. I haven't thought of a catchphrase to replace the old one. Anyway, take care, everybody. Have a good one.